So good morning, good morning, good morning. What is it? Adjust the volume of the speakers. I don't know what that means.
You said what?
It says to adjust the volume of the speaker, tap here. It's telling you where you can tap and share your show. It's showing me where I can share my show. That's it. I'm going to share my show. Good morning. I'll share it with you too. I'm going to share it with Aunt Laura. Mm-hmm. Keep on sharing for a minute. My nose is itching. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, no. Podbean. Go back. That's where I was. Mm-hmm. All right, we could do our city on fire, y'all. Hey, fast porcupines. It's my nephew's song, and I play it like sometimes whenever I get a chance.
You said what?
I'm on my show. My son is here. Hey, How's it going? You could come up. I just decided that perhaps we need to talk about this thing we call public education, as it is just mandatory in every one of the states. But what we don't understand is the consequences for not participating in the process is dramatic when it comes to us as a people because we're just not making it. How in the hell could that be? This is 2025. Oh, they have special education. What the hell is that? Well, goddamn, most people don't understand, but it is just Burger King. It's the Burger King of America because you simply get what you need, not necessarily what they'd like to give to you. And so, and these are nothing but tools. Are you still running for office? Because these are nothing but tools out there to build what capacity for what? For the people who would like to roll with you. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't do anything alone. Not in America. Hell, not in the world. And it is just real. In America, the question is, who are you? And what is it that you do? Well, somebody sent me a picture. It says, summary of calories. Oh, I don't have a weight loss problem. I don't have a weight loss problem, though. In America, it is just us, we the people, and we don't even understand. The awakening has happened. You know, the revolution was never televised. However, it's taking place. You can see it. You might even understand that it is we and not necessarily anyone else. Let me see. I'm going to figure out how to get back over there. There it is, right there. And I can put. Do I have pictures? You have to allow full access to everything for your you know for you to understand that it is just you and it's only you. But if it's not you, then who? You know. So here we are, as we're American people, and we don't understand that we have the ability to transition and do whatever we want to do as an American citizen. The deal is, who are you, and what is it that you do? Because it is 2025. That's a picture of me. And I am 67 this year. But what we need to understand is that all across the nation, every state has a different methodology in regards to public education and public services. But they never forget who the harvest is. And as the harvest is, are the people who we're all paying these tax dollars, you see? And we don't complain about paying them taxes. No, not at all. I don't think we complain about much. When we try to complain about George Floyd, it was real. When we try to talk about Ahmaud Arbery, it was real. But all of these young people whose lives have been upended, and then they're saying there's no charges against Jeffrey Epstein. Well, they're gonna let that woman go that they incarcerated for supporting him in his criminal behavior. They need to let her go too, because she didn't do shit. If he didn't do shit, she didn't do shit either. So we have to understand that as Americans, there's an obligation to what? To self. And what does that obligation actually look like? It looks like waking up in the morning. And, so many people, especially our younger people, they don't really understand. But if they don't follow the rules, well, they're not allowed to keep their babies. No, they take them. And they take them at birth. And then they start paying themselves to ensure that they can care for them. And they pay themselves exorbitant a lot of money. Here in Nevada, it's like $50,000 a pop for already adopted children. And that's coming out of your pocket, boo. And it is real. And I'm saying it, I've never witnessed this level of dysfunction prior to. And then this app right here, I find that it is subjective to what? It's, you know, what you're doing and when you're doing it, I guess. Because sometimes when I do the playback, there's these big, huge pauses, meaning that hmm, somebody passed away. I had a message. I have to check it. Let me see. Wow. Okay. hmm Life is not promised. I can promise you that because we are simply just fulfilling what? The obligation to live. And you don't know anything about life. You don't know anything about liberty. And you damn sure don't know anything about justice because it is just us as a people. And here we are, living in America, but born in the USA. And it makes a difference because so many people just choose not to do anything. And, when you try to talk to most people who look like you, well, they're telling you, are you talking about politics? Well, hell, we don't do politics around here. And I'm saying, how insane, because you pay those damn taxes and you pay them every day. And so many black people feel like, oh, girl, I got to go pay my taxes. And I'm saying, well, yeah, but when I was working, well, it didn't matter because they took so much money out of my check. That's why I could get it back once a year. It was like it was like they were your bank and they were holding your money. And they take like $300 or $400 out of your check every month. And it really didn't matter because that was your federal taxes. And then you could get it back. You would get your money back when tax time came. You would just have to do what? Pay your taxes. And that's just real. So, anyways, at the age of 67, and especially now, simply because we are America, and they elected this person who doesn't believe in America. No, he never did, as he would sue America for everything, and he just objected to everything in his objection to life, as we are a people who require that input happens. And what does that input look like? Well, we should be working in our own communities, that's for damn sure. The Boys and Girls Club doesn't necessarily sustain one's after school activities. Not everybody's in the Boys and Girls Club, but not everybody goes to the YMCA. And there are a lot of people that just live in their little tiny box, and their children are tantruming because they want their way, and these people can't necessarily afford to do what? Pay for that level of entertainment. Yeah, Southwest Airlines, 50% off seats. They want you to come. They want you to come. You know, you used to be able to come to Vegas or whatever, and they'd have a little package. You get so much, everybody on the bus trip would get so much money back, or flying in would get so much money, then they stop advertising. And that's just what they did. They stopped the advertisement, and it became your obligation to do what? Your obligation to understand that it is you as an individual who has a responsibility to do what? Sustain your own self. But if you didn't make it, that's really your own problem. As it is we the people. I have all this grass growing in my yard. And if I don't get it up before it grows thick, then it'll continue to grow. And I'm responsible for the weeds. And I don't like pulling weeds. So the best thing to do is get out here and catch them before they grow big. And it is something like, going on 90 degrees out here. It'll be 104 or 105 or 111 before it gets too late. And it really will. It's Prime Day. Prime Day has arrived. Yep. And I can't convince people to come on up and have this conversation. I don't have any children in school. No, but I know that public education is mandatory, and we all should have a voice in the process, especially when it's not working for all children. So who speaks on behalf of the children? Well, it's not your elected officials, because they don't do black. That's the one thing they don't do. They don't talk about blackness. And you see, I have 3 pieces of mail coming today, and it's all junk mail. Except for Foremost Insurance, they always got a lot to say. hmm That's real. In America, who are you? As the question is, who are you and what is it you do to maintain what? Your self-sovereignty. Sovereign nation, people say. Who are you? And it makes a difference. I can tell you one thing, all my kids graduated from public school. And no, not with the highest degrees because, it really makes a difference how you start. And if you start in early access, meaning that you get that kindergarten and the preschool and all that out of the way, and that you're able to do what? Benefit. And that's just real. And so if you're learning to read and comprehend the King's English, as this is 2025, we have people in the 11th grade that can't read. And we're still paying taxes. And we're not having these conversations. And enough is enough because in the red states, there are so many children who look like me who are not making it, and then they're all off task, and they're going to install deeper punishments for these people if they should take something that's not theirs. And I'm saying, oh, okay. So even food wise, they're not even giving food to the hungry people. So they expect them to do what? Misbehave. Enough is enough. But when you wake up in the morning and you've got nothing to say except for curiosity killed the cat. And I'm certainly curious as to how they plan on collecting these tax dollars without giving us any services and then being more enforcive of behavioral, not norms. But life goes on. It's a long 20 minutes. I'm going to play another song. Of course, these songs were given to me by my nephew. So there's no copyright deal here. So when it transfers over and plays on Spotify, they were trying to say that they had something to say, but they really have nothing to say. So let's listen up. And isn't it every child's dream to really be something in their lifetime? And I'm just saying, as a people, how do we survive this? Because we haven't even made it yet. And even though we know we have black elected officials, know that those black elected officials, they don't really represent anything about being black. And even though they didn't pass the Juneteenth bill, they still struggling to acknowledge that that is a federal day off. And I'm saying it really doesn't matter because we've had so many black people that have done so much work. And even though they continue to fight, and we have to fight for our rights to do what? Be human. Just be human. Because the reality is that failure is an option. How the hell did that happen? I'm just still trying to understand. How did failure become an option in America when that's just real? Because is what they do is a real reality. They continue to do what? Act as if we're not saying anything and that we can't lobby for our own benefits. But my nephew has a couple of songs. I'm playing one more. I'm trying to figure out which one. Maybe this one. Yes, this is a good one. Amen. So, you know, what I can't believe, it's difficult for me to even think about how the education system actually operates here in Nevada because they simply created this prime six schools. So there were six schools that they made them like prime, and they gave them extra additional funding, and and um and they held them to the federal standards, and everybody in those schools are making it. Then they have the public schools where there's no services, and then children are being documented for not completing the work or not knowing how to complete the work. And then they have these behavioral, it's called a habitual disciplinary problem. Now, if you go online and you type in the word habitual disciplinary problem, you will come up with an NRS code, which is criminal simply because special education does exist. What is special ed? Well, it's that goddamn yellow bus. That's exactly what it is. But my son was on the yellow bus until he graduated. The bus needed to transport him there. Now, I would bring him lunch and pick him up from school, but getting him out the door was very difficult, and getting myself out the door too. So we made an agreement during the IEP that the city or the school district would Sacramento City Unified School District would provide the transportation too, and it worked, and it just simply worked. And I'm saying the responsibility of the parent is to make sure that the child is engaged and understands that they have to do this thing called participatory process. They have to engage in the process, and they have to do whatever the teacher says do. But if you're not comprehending those set of instructions, because we have visual learners, we have verbal visual learners, we have the other way around, kinesthetic learners, people who can process information and actually put it to work. But then we have people who can't process information. They have to have it in writing. Well, you just really don't understand. But special education just gives it to you the way you need it, not necessarily the way they'd like to do it. But there's something called a manifestation determination hearing. And districts have to do that to determine your placement. But first, if they're saying that you're not making it, boo, they have to demonstrate what they did to ensure that you did make it. But if you didn't make it, you have a right to make it. So failure is just not an option. What if the letter grade of F actually represents fraud, failure, and any other F word that you can think of? And I don't know how to share this moment of empowerment that I figured out. And that's probably why I have all this gray hair, because I was ready to challenge the system at all times. My children just didn't get the letter grade of F, because if they got an F, then damn it, the teacher would have to sit down and have a talk. We would have to talk about how and why the child was not making it, and what could they do to ensure that adequacy happens. And then we just made it through the process. And, my middle child was the only child in Sacramento City Unified School District that graduated in special education above proficiency. He graduated with all his credits in regular class. He completed the work. But my youngest child, who was born in 1997, well, was he born 4/21/97? Yeah. He just graduated too with everything he needed. And now I have him in a cybersecurity class. And when he takes the test, well, he'll be able to make some money. And then we'll have to get him in that ABLE program to where you can earn up to $100,000 a year and not be penalized, not lose your benefits. Because we just can't afford to lose those benefits, because he still has epilepsy. He just hasn't suffered from a grand mal seizure in a while. And we took medication for more than 8 years of his life. And so we don't have to have that anymore. You want to do a Zoom meeting? Well, we could do Zoom. Are you going to send me the link? I have Zoom. I didn't pay for Zoom. Let me tell you about that Zoom. Come on in, Zoom. Because I was doing Zoom, and what I realized that the network administrators had a problem with it locally. So they would do all kind of things that didn't allow me to control the 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 whatever, the application. And I said, fuck that. And then so I wanted to talk to somebody, and I kept on sending a message, and they act like they didn't hear me. So when it came time to up or renew, I didn't. I just didn't renew. And then they're telling me my account's still good for a whole year. It means it's going to hold my shit for a year. Well, I'll decide during that year when I'm going to pay. Because I'm going to pay when I know that you don't let other people, uh, you know, determine what's happening in my room. And that's just real. Because pimping ain't easy. But goddamn, when you paying, you deserve to be the one in charge. And that's just the deal. I'm paying for this one too. And I have a microphone on today because listen, I go back and listen to the replay, and then there's just empty spaces. Well, there shouldn't be any empty spaces today because I definitely have a microphone on, and it makes a difference. It makes a difference when you get this age and you are aware of where you're at because we're living in shit. And I do mean SHIT. I've never witnessed this level of dysfunction until I got here into Nevada. But you can come in here. All you have to do is push the plus button. Yeah, peace. Or maybe you're in a Zoom meeting. That's why you can't come up. That's a possibility too. I'm going to play one more song. Environmental change is real. Armstrong Getty has a show on Podbean too. Let's listen up, y'all. Young people have so much to say. Okay. So that was environmental change. And then this is my favorite one, Cameo Heart. But before I play it, we just have to understand that it is we the people. And I've been looking for my people. And, I've met so many black legislators here in Nevada, more than ever. I mean, I knew black legislators in Sacramento, but I knew some black legislators that were nationwide too. I mean, because Sacramento was the capital, and you got to meet people if you went to the public meetings. You can go to the public meetings, and yes, I have met Stephen Hirschford and Aaron Ford, which is the AG and the senator from Nevada. And the whole thing is that my perception of life is different, and even is different from what's his face? The little short man that speaks in Chicago. Reverend was there. That reverend up there. He said that I seem to think that education is critical. And I said, yeah, I do. And I think we need to be addressing it right now because each one of our children generate a certain dollar back to the local community, that is. But when you're not the one who is sharing your objection to the failed services that are happening all around you, I mean, no, you people, I don't even understand this anymore. I mean, they have so many black people with so much money living up there in Anthem and out there in Summerlin, and there I have little pockets and areas. Well, just like Eddie Murphy, he stayed around the corner, basically, but I never would have met him. But he lived over there in the pocket area in Sacramento, and that's the thing. When they give black people a little bit of power, and it's entertainment capitalists, and then you got Snoop, and you got Drake, and you got Usher, and you got them all. And they don't represent you, boo. No, they represent their pocket and themselves. That's it. So it's a pimp factor in there. And then there's you, little old you, trying to make sure that your children don't end up in the incarceration realm and understanding that you have to play these games. But when, even my nephew, he doesn't pay attention. So he's driving around, putting himself at risk. And you don't understand that you just be the harvest and they see you. You understand what I'm saying? They see you. And I'm telling you, when I was in Sacramento and I was keeping my damn computer online because, I would I would do what I wanted to do in my home and then my computer would have a problem. And then my mother would go buy me another computer. But the day that they motherfuckers stopped her from buying me a computer at Best Buy was the day that I realized that we are so fucked up. We don't have any rights and then they organize and they see everything you're doing. They know what you're doing. That's why I bought a damn new phone because my fucking phone wouldn't ring. I have the iPhone 14. It just wouldn't ring. So I got the free phone from T-Mobile. They gave me a free phone because I paid my bill on time for 24 months consecutively. And as long as I pay my bill, it's 120 a month. That's exactly what I've been paying the whole time. I'm still paying 120. And then I got the free phone. But now I have more people that are watching. So whatever you're watching, they're watching too, boo. And I'm not really concerned because I don't do anything that I shouldn't be doing. I'm doing exactly what I should be doing, which is pulling the fire alarm because failure's not an option. And we are all Americans. So what is it that you do? As this is 2025, and I say, are you alive? Because in America, this is my youngest son. I'll show you my youngest son. Isn't he handsome? There we go. And then I've got three other sons. I'm putting them up here so y'all can see. I know life is difficult, but I have my three sons. I have to find when we had a family portrait. Get in there. Do 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 do. And then, and then there is just life, liberty, and the pursuit of. But if you're not choosing to live life, then what is it that you're choosing to do? Because ignorance is not bliss. This is my oldest son and his daughter. There we go. I'm getting there. I only got three sons. I gotta get to my middle child now. Do 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 do. As we're on this fantastic voyage. And the voyage is to what? It's not to Atlantis. We're on a fantastic voyage, and this is America. You know that song? This is America. Because this is America, and we live in America, and we are Americans. So what is it that you do that would denote what? Oh, here's a great picture of me and Mr. Dick Gregory. Meaning that, I got out and got around. That's just real. We went to university where he spoke, and he spoke elegantly because he just talks about what we should be doing as individuals. But if you ain't doing nothing, I'm still trying to understand who and what and the purpose of life, liberty, and justice. Because here we go. There's a picture of me and my three sons. So here we are. And it's 2025, and it's July. As failure has become an option in America. And these people, well, they're just, for the smash and grab people who always desire something, take a risk, well, they got the penitentiary. And then they're going to hire more people. But then when you on the streets and you just living your life, you get pulled over and then you don't understand that you must comply, as compliance is everything. What the fuck is that? Mm. Even out here in this ethos, the ethos land, when you're streaming and they would like for you to comply, and then all of a sudden they playing with your lives. And people can't tell you that they can't hear you, or even if they do, it's a real reality that it is we the people. And so what's happening for your people? Well, my mother made things happen for me. She left me her retirement. I'm so happy because they play with the Social Security. I still got the retirement. At least I have something. It's happening. That's right. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I'm going to do my other song here, and I want y'all to enjoy it. Now, this is the first song my nephew sung it for my mother before she passed. Just enjoy it. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful.
Kevon did this one for grandma.
Hmm?
Kevon sung this one for mom.
Grandma would be so elated if I found somebody like Natalia right now. She'd be talking to her like, baby, you gotta slow down.
No, you just got to slow down so we can stay in this relationship.
No. When I say slow down, when you say slow down, you mean don't advance and push too hard. When you say, John, do what you're supposed to do, this means to make people feel potential the same way I do in the casino, in love. It's got to be a closer relationship than the one that I offer in a casino for strangers. Simply protection and words and all that stuff are just that. People have to feel it.
I know.
That's why I went into her mama's house and talked to her and chilled for a while.
Well, good. I like her mom.
Yeah. When you come over, she got a jar of weed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious now. This is our kinfolk. I know. She's trying to figure it out. And once you just sit up there and break it down for her,
I'm on my show. We reached the top. Oh, yeah. Love her this much. And that's just real. Because love does hurt. Because you make choices. You put yourself out there. And then it becomes your obligation to still protect your choices. And we just live life, liberty, and justice. What is that? The only thing you ever learned in public education was I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'm saying, you don't even understand the power in that little bullshit ass whatever, because that's the only thing I believe. I don't believe anything. I think that I'm entitled. And therefore, when my children were struggling, well, I just filed a complaint with the federal government because the feds have an obligation to protect your human rights. And that's how it works in America. I filed a complaint with the state, and guess what? It never went anywhere. And then I went above the state's head and then just listed the codes, the 300 point whatever, the Title 20 whatever, all of the federal regulations that have to do with education. I will go online and go to usa.gov, and then I would actually search for what was going on with me, and then I would file a complaint. And same thing. I mean, these people are really in Texas. Oh, I mean, they even got the people from Uvalde. And Uvalde, when they had that boy go on campus with a shotgun, and then they were terrified to enter the room with him, and he was in there taking liberties with the children. I don't even understand that one because those people had an obligation to understand that they should have had a plan, and they had no plan, even though they had just submitted their plan to the federal government for campus safety. Well, they just ignored the fact that they had to provide real solutions to real problems. And in these last 20 or so years, they've had all these shootings on public schools, campuses. Instead of making these people go through a process, there is no process. That's the problem. There's nothing that you go through after high school that ensures that you have a position in life. And it just doesn't exist. You know, they have all these not-for-profit organizations where we're paying these people's health care, their retirement, their benefits, and then we look at America and ain't shit there. And I mean, ain't nothing there. And enough is enough because you only know what you know and you don't know shit. Because if you never got off the pot, well, hell, you wouldn't even know there was shit in the toilet. And that's just real. I'm so disgusted in understanding that freedom. Well, people don't value my freedom. And then we don't understand how we move the needle. When the needle moves by all of us choosing to do what? As a revolution was never going to be televised. It wasn't. It just happened. So, no, I'm not going back. Kamala said, we're not going back. Did you understand what she said when she said, we're not going back? Meaning that she was able to establish a process in the state of California which gave parents real rights. That's right. Because I'm just trying to understand where the MOU is with the medical professionals here in Nevada when babies are mandated to participate in this thing we call public education. But did you not know? That's why we have health care. Did you not understand that it is the doctors that have already figured out how the human being actually learns? And there's a great involvement with the medical professional people and the children in the public school system. But I mean, when these people here in Nevada, the local people, would not accept a medical diagnosis from a doctor, then that is a lawsuit against the state because that's what we selected that we would do, use doctors, not everyday ordinary human being to determine what you have rights to and what you don't. In America, it is we the people. Let it be known that we the people are not going anywhere. And I'm sure you see that there are no obese people in my family. Absolutely none. And we eat as healthy as we can, trying not to eat a whole lot of, um, you know, human, human whatever consumption things that you're not supposed to be eating. But guess what? My son is coming out with a book. And it's healthy eating healthy foods, eating to live life. And it's got some challenge on there. Well, I don't know. He's supposed to give me the link so I can push it out there. Yeah, it says, everybody's got to be a store or a shop owner these days because, well, even if you have a PDF and it just doesn't matter if it tells people the way to get to San Jose, then people can learn how to do it. You know that song, Do You Know the Way to San Jose? I'm going back one day. And that's just real. But, then you got Al Green, lean on me when you're not strong. Said I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on in the road. It won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. And it's just real as we don't understand life, liberty, or the suggestion of freedom, we don't know because people object to us doing our own thing out here. And as failure is not an option, understand that no matter where you are, you have an obligation to speak out on the injustices across the nation because that's what we do as Americans. I'm about to get out of here and go. I'm over here on Podbean. I'm going to go over there on TikTok because I like to listen on TikTok. And TikTok's just not going away, boo. It really is not. So I suggest you get on over there too. And we just keep on sowing these seeds and do what we got to do. But Facts Porcupine, thanks for coming in. And good luck on your campaign. I hope you win. But you got to be out there sowing that seed every day, every single day. Y'all come back now and catch my podcast.